Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. A review you didn't know. You ever pick up a book knowing deep down it's probably not for you, but you read it anyway? That was me with Love on the Brain. Now, before we dive in, let's set the record straight. I tried to go into this with an open mind. After all, Ali Hazelwood is still relatively new in the romance world, and despite the love hypothesis not being my cup of tea, I figured, why not give her another shot? Maybe she's evolved as a writer. Maybe this one would finally click. Well, it didn't. In fact, the deeper I got into Love on the Brain, the more I felt like I had been tricked, hoodwinked, bamboozled. I kept waiting for that moment where I'd get it, the moment where the story would sweep me away, and I'd suddenly understand the hype. Instead, I found myself taking deep breaths, rolling my eyes, and wondering if I had somehow picked up a parody of a romance novel instead of an actual one. But before I get ahead of myself, let's break this down. The writing, an obsession with italics and an overdose of quirkiness. Let's talk about the writing style first because, oh boy, do I have thoughts. Hazelwood's writing has a very distinct voice, and I can see why some people find it engaging. It's casual, it's quirky, and it's designed to make you feel like you're inside the head of a fun, relatable protagonist. But here's where it lost me. First, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather, the italics in the room. Don't think I have ever read a book that abused italics the way Love on the Brain does, and I counted. Yes, I actually counted, because once I noticed it, I couldn't stop noticing it. Over 630 words italicized. That's almost 2 per page. At first I thought, okay, italics can help show emphasis, character voice, maybe even comedic timing. But then it became too much. Instead of enhancing the dialogue and narration, it made everything feel exaggerated. Like B was narrating her life in dramatic whispers. And then there's the quirkiness. Look, I love a good quirky heroine. But there's a fine line between charming and unique, and trying so hard to be quirky that it feels forced. B is supposed to be a brilliant neuroscientist, but her narration often reads like a chaotic teenager's Twitter feed. It's all exclamation points, random tangents, and over-the-top reactions. It was exhausting. The plot. From mildly predictable to absolutely bonkers, at the start the plot was okay. B and Levi, 2 scientists with a complicated past, are forced to work together on a high-stakes NASA project. Sounds like a solid setup, right? Enemies to lovers, STEM romance, workplace tension. It had all the ingredients of a great slow burn. But here's where things took a turn. First, the main conflict between B and Levi is based entirely on miscommunication. And not even good. Miscommunication, but the frustrating kind where one honest conversation could have solved everything. B is convinced that Levi has despised her for years, and Levi, who has secretly been in love with her all along, tries to correct her, but she just refuses to listen. Every time he tries to explain himself, she steamrolls right over him with her assumptions. And then there's the subplot with the anonymous Twitter accounts. B secretly runs What Would Marie Do?, a feminist science meme account. Levi, unbeknownst to her, is the person behind or schmacademics. Now, this could have been a fun, you've got mail-style twist, except it was so painfully obvious that Levi was schmuck that it didn't feel like a reveal at all. Instead, it made B look oblivious. But nothing could have prepared me for the ending, because just when I thought this book couldn't get more ridiculous, someone pulled out a gun. Yes, you heard me right. A gun in a rom-com. For what reason, you ask? Oh, just an absurdly over-the-top villain reveal that made 0 sense. The villain's motives were flimsy. The execution was laughable. And the whole thing felt like it belonged in an entirely different genre. I sat there staring at the pages, thinking, is this really happening? The romance. A lesson in frustration now. Let's talk about the romance, because isn't that supposed to be the heart of the book? Bee and Levi's relationship is built on layers of misunderstanding, and while slow-burn romance can be amazing when done right, this one just made me want to shake both of them. Levi is supposed to be this grumpy, brooding love interest with a heart of gold, and for the most part, I actually liked him. He was patient, kind, and genuinely cared about Bee. But my issue wasn't with him, it was with how their relationship was handled. Every time Levi tries to be honest about his feelings, Bee assumes she already knows what he's going to say, and doesn't let him speak. And this happens over and over again. And then, just when they finally get together, Bee never actually says, "I love you." Not even once. She thinks it. She hints at it. But she never actually says it to Levi. And that, my friends, is baffling to me. The characters. Depth versus annoyance. Now, I will give credit where credit is due. Bee had more depth than I expected. Her past trauma, losing her parents young, moving from relative to relative, and dealing with a cheating ex, gave her a legitimate reason to struggle with emotional attachment. That part of her character was actually well done. But her personality? Not so much. Bee is someone who bulldozes her way through conversations, doesn't listen to others, and jumps to conclusions constantly. While I understood why she had trust issues, her unwillingness to hear Levi out was just frustrating. Levi, on the other hand, was more likable. He was patient, kind, and genuinely cared about Bee. But the whole he was rude to her because he secretly liked her trope? Yeah, that didn't sit right with me. Just say what you mean, man. Final thoughts. A hard pass for me, so. Would I recommend Love on the Brain? For me? No. For you? Maybe. If you're into quirky heroines, exaggerated romance tropes, and don't mind a plot that veers into the absurd, Hazelwood clearly has an audience who loves her work, and if her style clicks with you, I get it. But for me, after reading 2 of her books, I can confidently say, this is where we part ways. So tell me, have you read Love on the Brain? Did you love it? Hate it? Think I'm being too harsh? Let's talk in the comments. And if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more bookish rants, reviews, and deep dives. Until next time, happy reading.